Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Girl Got Goals podcast. I'm Marcy Allen. I'm here with Kimberly Blaylock, and we have a great new series we're starting today, inspired by one of our amazing listeners, Judy Lawrence, who sent us an email to the Girl Got Goals podcast at gmail.com. Yay, Judy. This was our first email. I was so excited to get it. I was like, look, I sent it. I think I sent a screenshot or something to Kimberly. I was like, we got an email. And it was a really good one too.
Is it that little cartoon that they would go email and they would read it online?
Yes.
Or you got mail. I think that's what it was.
You got mail. Yes. Yes. I was like so excited. So I'm going to read Judy's email today because it was the inspiration for our new series that we're starting today called Exercise Like a Girl. So Judy wrote in and said, "Hey, Marcy, I just wanted to let you know that I love your podcast. On the days that a new podcast comes out are my best exercise days. I look forward to listening to y'all. I learn and I laugh while I'm exercising. I like the information you're sharing as well as your feelings and real life sharing. You have me hooked now after the last podcast about cardio. Now I need to know more about lifting weights. Is that something you're going to cover? I currently walk several days a week with a weighted vest. What are your thoughts on that? You said on your podcast you want to be someone who helps with healing. You are doing that. Kim is doing that. Thank you for the podcast, Judy Ann Lawrence." Oh, and we were really kind of at a crux, on determining whether we wanted to continue the podcast or not, because we don't get a lot of feedback. We don't know if people are listening, if we're making a difference, and it is a huge time commitment for us being as busy as we are. And this email just came in like on little angel wings, right in the nick of time. And it was like, well, there's your sign. Mm-hmm. You do matter. You are making a difference. People are listening. And it just warmed my heart, really, that she said that she laughed and learned, at the same time. So thank you, Judy. We appreciate you sending in that email. And we'd love to hear from everyone, if you have anything to say. And that really, we had already been talking about doing this Exercise Like a Girl was on our list of topics to maybe do. And when Judy wrote in about, I need to know more about lifting, we were like, yeah, girl, we got you. So that's what we're going to start today. It's going to be a 4-part series, and we're going to be going back to weekly podcasts, but we're going to try to shorten the episodes a little bit. So we're going to try to give you guys really good information and be, mindful of your time and still give you the same great podcast, but just a little more condensed version.
Don't be
anything to add?
Me. You did great. No, it was odd that I think we had just talked on the phone, or you texted to me. I can't remember, but it was just like a couple of days. Like you had said, I'm beginning to wonder if this is worth it. And then you sent me that email. I swear, I think it was a couple of days. And it was like, that was almost God sent, You
literally sent me a text back and like, well, here's your sign. If you were wondering, like, now you know.
Yeah. So
yeah, it did.
It
nice. Really lit a fire under us and kind of renewed our spirit, because we're almost coming up on a year. I think it'll be next month. I have it marked on my calendar. Will be a year of the Girl Got Goals podcast. So super excited to have that anniversary.
Yeah.
But we're going to jump right into our topic today. So Exercise Like a Girl was really inspired when I started learning more about menopause. And I listened, I think it was to Oprah Winfrey's menopause special that I've talked about, in one of our previous episodes. And she had Dr. Jessica Shepard on, and she wrote a book called Generation M. And in her book, chapter 8, I'm going to read this to you guys because I feel like it's very important to give her credit and quote it, exactly. The chapter 8 is the exercise RX, or prescription. It explains that there is no magic pill that will improve every aspect of your physical, psychological, and spiritual health. But one thing that comes close: exercise. Exercise can not only help you retain muscle and aid in weight maintenance, but it can also reduce your risk of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. It can increase your libido and lower your risk of depression, ease anxiety, and boost your self-confidence. And then I put, but have you ever felt like the gym just wasn't made for you? You know, like I know being a female and especially with Kimberly being shorter, you know, some of the machines are built for bigger statures and, you know, you're not long enough and you're trying to adjust your body to the machines or, you know, a lot of our misgivings are societal because girls are not really brought up in the weight rooms like boys who play sports are a lot of times, or we're not encouraged to go to the gym and train hard. And I think deep down we know that what we see the men and our boys in our lives doing, it just doesn't resonate with us. Like a lot of guys I know, they're working arms and chests like nonstop. They're building their upper bodies because that's their vanity point. It's exact opposite for us. You know, we like to build our lower bodies. Not that we don't like building our upper bodies also, but we're not going to work chest and arms twice a week like they are. And there are major differences in our biology. And we're going to discuss that today and throughout the next 4 episodes about the differences between the male physiology and the female physiology and how that translates into how you should exercise like a girl.
So the first one is, I know that we always hear, will lifting make me bulky? I think that's one of the first questions that I get 90% of the time when I first started training or even working out and people asking me questions. And
I've said that myself. You know, when me and Jessica started training together, I think I've said this on so many episodes, is our thing we told our trainer, and he probably laughed behind our backs. He was very nice to our face. But we were like, we don't want to look like a man. We don't want to become bulky. And he was so polite. He didn't say a word. But now I look back and go, I was a damn fool. I was an idiot. I wish I could train hard enough to look like a man, you know, because then I could work half as hard and still grow more muscle. But yeah, I have said these words myself. So you're not alone if you think that.
No. And I think that is the most common misconception, you know, that lifting is going to make you bulky. But lifting weights promotes muscle growth. The key factor to looking bulky is body fat. So, you know, if you are lifting and you are eating correctly, you're going to start losing that body fat and you're just going to build the muscle. And then, you know, that muscle is going to give your body shape. So, you know, I got to thinking about it though. And I thought, well, you know, some people will say, well, I'm going to the gym, but I still look bulky or I still look big. So think about it like this. If I'm going to the gym like I am now, I'm going to use myself for example, when I'm in a fat loss prep stage, I'm in a calorie deficit. So I'm losing body fat and I'm working out. So I'm more sculpting my body. My body's going to look more sculpted. It's going to look more, you know, quote, tone. You're going to see definition because I'm losing body fat. When I come off, unless I reverse diet and keep those calories at maintenance, like I should, are you still going to see that? If you get off schedule, like I have in the past few months, and I'm eating mostly clean, but there are times I'm not. But just say, for instance, you're not keeping up with it and you're somebody that's new and you're just eating. And I have seen people that, because they don't know about the nutrition part, so they're just eating and thinking they're burning enough calories. We've talked about that before. So if you're still eating and you're eating fattier foods and junk food and then going to the gym and you're not being in a deficit, you might look, quote, bulky to yourself because you might be adding muscle, but you've got that fat also on top of it. So that's what's making you look bigger, not necessarily that the muscle's doing that or weight training is doing that. That's because you're not balancing and losing weight at the same time.
Right. Because muscle growth in women is very gradual, and that's limited by our hormones. We don't have enough androgenic hormones, which are the male hormones, to allow us to build muscle like a man, unless you're supplementing. If you're taking TRT or steroids or something like that, then yeah, you're going to build more muscle more quickly. But even then, it's still a struggle. But you're right. Bulk is a combination of muscle growth plus a calorie surplus. So I always joked before, I was like, I got abs. They're just under my flabs. You can't see them. Like, we all have muscle. You may have a little, you may have a lot, but volume is going to be, as that muscle grows, if you're building that fat layer on top of it, of course you're going to have bigger volume. Your clothes may feel tighter. And a lot of women get turned off, I think, at that point. They're like, I'm coming to the gym, I'm working hard, I'm busting my ass. And instead of losing volume like they would if they were just doing strictly cardio, they're maybe gaining volume at first because they haven't got the nutrition component down pat. Or like me, sometimes it just takes my metabolism a little bit more time to turn. Like, you're not going to turn the Titanic on a dime, so it's going to take a couple of months. I would say at least 12 weeks to see some kind of recomposition in your body type. And so while you may feel like you're looking larger, or you're feeling your clothes getting tighter or something like that, it's not, the muscle growth is not the problem. We'll just say that.
Right.
Because once you get, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, once you get that muscle growth at a certain level, the tables turn. It's like a seesaw, it tips. You're going to look leaner, tighter. I'm wearing the same clothes, the same size, that I'm 161 pounds now, and I'm wearing the same size that I wore at 135, 140 pounds. So, I didn't really add more volume. I added more muscle, but I lost body fat at the same time. So
Right. And as you were saying, as far as women, I just going to say, when you're a beginner, I wish I could go back to being a beginner and know what I know now.
The newbie gains. Yes.
So if you are a beginner, I would suggest, this is what I wish I would have known. How you do, if you're a newbie, and that's where she's getting the term newbie gains, and I had never heard that, so I didn't know until it was too late, that you're going to gain more muscle that first, period of time, because your body is adapting to the resistance training.
Right. So, it's a new stimulus.
Right. So you can put on 2 to 4 pounds of muscle per month in that beginning period. And I'd probably say maybe 6 months. But that, well, I'll finish this.
That doesn't last forever, yeah.
Right. So if you're an intermediate lifter, it's 1 to 2 pounds per month, because your body's going to start coming accustomed to the training. And so your rate's going to slow down. So an advanced lifter like Marcy and I, after a couple of years, it's going to slow down to a half a pound to a pound per month. So now all of this is just like generic. This also depends on your nutrition and your optimal training. If I'm going in there and I'm barely lifting and I'm barely doing anything as a newbie, your gains might not be like somebody over here that's balls to the wall.
Yeah.
My first trainer kicked my tail, but he also was really wanting me to do figure. So the way he was training me was a lot of the way you would train a figure girl. And so I feel like some of my newbie gains, where I could have really been like sculpting different parts of my body, I might have lost during that time. But now what he did for my legs, because there was a period, like my first year, I'd say it was my third show, and I went before Sandy Williams, which is one of the biggest for bikini judges. And she was like, no more legs. This was my third show. Don't build your legs no more. But we were in there squatting. I told a girl the other day, and she was like, what? I was like, yeah, there was no big thing for us to go in there and me to do 100 squats. Like, he would have me wanting to die, but he would kick my butt. But I would have probably tried to kick my butt in a few other areas also.
Right. Knowing then what you know now. Yeah.
Yeah, which would have been my glutes.
Yeah.
But so anyway, I say all that to, if that is something, if you're one of the newbies, and that's one thing that I would have wanted to know is to and we're going to go into that, picking out your plan and your nutrition and just getting everything so that you don't waste that precious of what you could do at that time.
Because you have that limited window. And once you get into lifting, you're going to understand how hard it is and how long it is to lay down that lean mass. You're going to be glad that you're getting bulky, per se, in this little bit of time frame. It's not going to last forever. So just stick with it, I think is what we're trying to say. And enjoy the newbie gains. This is what you're here for. This is what you're wanting to do. Stick with it. Get your nutrition under control, and things will start changing soon enough.
If you don't want that bulk, you need to get your nutrition at the same time. Because I think some people say, or they don't think about it. And if those two aren't going hand in hand, you're not going to lose that body fat. So
my problem is I get in there and I work out and I'm really good for like a week or two, and then I feel like, well, I'm doing really good. I deserve a treat, and then I want to treat myself with food, which is not good. So,
well,
or you think I'm working, I'm burning all these calories. I can eat more. You can't. Don't even
think
try.
A lot of people, because a friend of mine, and I wished I had her, I wish I had her problem to a point, but she goes and works out. She has lost a lot of weight, but she'll go to her workout and she said, well, I come home, I just shower and want to go to bed. I don't even care to eat. And I'm like, what?
I'm starving.
The more I work out, the hungrier I get. I mean, I can eat. I feel like I could just devour a hamburger afterwards. I'm starving. And sometimes during my workout, it's good and bad. I'll start pushing myself. I'll start thinking about, I'm working glutes. I need to really eat some protein and eat good after this. I'm going to work really hard so that way I deserve to eat afterwards. That's not the way that works.
Yeah. Plan your nutrition in advance. Stick to your plan. Don't eat the extra calories. Just because you went to the gym and had a good training session does not mean you can come out and go to Fusakli's, people.
Correct.
All right. So our next topic, kind of building on that, is cardio versus lifting. So lifting is going to build metabolic tissue or muscle, which raises your resting metabolic rate and burns calories. We've said this before. 1 pound of lean muscle burns 50 calories per day at rest. So even while you're sleeping, you got this little factory going where you're burning calories. So the more muscle you can add to your body, the more calories you can eat and get away with it. And cardio alone is great for heart health, but it does not provide the long-term metabolic benefits and can cause you harm, in fact, if you're not eating enough to sustain your muscle growth, especially eating enough protein. And if you're doing too much cardio, you could be breaking down the muscle that you've worked so hard to gain. And we had a whole episode on cardio, so I'm not going to go into that. You can go back and listen to that and, hear everything we have to say. We just wanted to bring it up in here. And it's important to find a balance. It's suggested that everybody should have 150 minutes per week of exercise, which is 30 minutes a day for 5 days per week. And that is like heart healthy exercise, like some sort of walking or swimming or biking. And strength training should be at least 2 to 3 days per week. You want to hit every muscle group at least once or twice per week. So you got to find a balance before, in your plan. You have to find a balance. And also you can do like active recovery days. And you can do things like yoga and Tai Chi, things that can bring benefits to your muscle growth, because you can stretch, you can foam roll, you can help ease muscle pain and soreness, you can strengthen your pelvic floor, you can work on balance and flexibility, which is all very important, because then that's going to support your muscles as you do the new lifting routine that you're into. And so cardio is important, but it should be done in moderation.
Yes. I did just want to tell you about the study that I had read that kind of goes with that. I was telling you before this, and it goes to what we said in the cardio before the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about cardio and lifting. So go back and listen to that, everybody, if you haven't. But this study was against people who lifted heavy weights, lost the same amount of weight as doctors who just did cardio. But all of the weight lost from the weightlifters was fat,
Yep.
while the cardio group lost muscle along with fat.
Yeah. And I think it's like a 50-50 ratio. You're losing 50% muscle and 50% fat. And then, like we said before, your muscle tissue is your metabolic factory. It's burning the calories. And so if you're losing 50% muscle with 50% fat, then you're making yourself less efficient. We've talked about that too.
Yeah. And then you're going to know, in my opinion, a lot of times that's when you hear people say, well, my body's not changing, because we've talked about that. The muscle's what's going to make your body have shape and make it change. If you lose weight and have no muscle tone, your skin just hangs. So it's not giving you that different shape that everybody's looking for.
Yeah, and that brings Ozempic face to mind. You know, that's become a big term. It's like you can almost look at somebody who's on Ozempic and tell that they're on some kind of GLP-1 because of that. They're having rapid weight loss, but they're losing just as much muscle as they are fat. And I'm not going to sit here and say that taking Ozempic is bad, because I take it. I think you say it Ribellicis or whatever. It's the semaglutide pill. I've taken tirzepatide. I microdose these things to help me keep my appetite under control and help quiet the food noise. I have a real bad problem with, leptin and ghrelin being off kilter and not really having good hunger signals and not being able to fill up and, different things like that. So I microdose it to help regulate my nutrition plan. But I'm not doing the huge doses that these people are doing. They're putting like everybody on the same dose, start at like 2.5 milligrams per week, whatever, and then go up from there. And these people are getting nauseous even when they eat. They can only take a few bites. You're basically starving yourself to death. So your body's not getting proper protein. It's not getting proper nutrition. So it's important, if you are taking a weight loss drug, to definitely strength train, because if you're putting your muscles through that progressive overload, you're getting that stimulus. You're going to have that muscle protein synthesis when you're eating your right amounts of protein. You got to prioritize protein. And then you can use the weight loss drug for what it's intended for, but you're keeping your shape. Your skin's not going to look saggy. You're not going to lose too fast. You're not going to lose the muscle mass. And they even came out with a new drug, retruitide, I think is how you say it. So it's a triple agonist. So semaglutide was a GLP-1, tirzepatide was a GLP-1 and a glucagon receptor. So it hit like two different hormones or parts. Now the retruitide is like triple, and they're saying that on this peptide that people are maintaining their muscle mass, which is super important. But I said all that to say this: if you're going to take the drug, you have to also take the protein and stimulate the muscles, or you're going to look skinny fat. We've used that term before. You can be skinny and still have loose, saggy skin, or not be toned, or not look like how you want to look.
Correct. So next, you want to maybe shift your mindset. So there's different ways that we need to, with our training, you're wanting to do for bone density, injury prevention.
It's been a long day.
It is. Heck, we talked an hour and a half before we started. So.
I know. We're all talked out now. We're tuckered out.
Our mouth's dry and we're tired.
It is. I keep reaching for my water.
Working out is going to give you more confidence. It's going to increase your sex drive, improve sleep. It's stress relief, improve mental health, look better naked.
I mean, that's what we're all here for, right?
Yeah. We just want to walk around naked.
Yeah, looking good, looking like a snack instead of eating one.
So, all of those things are reasons to work out. And I was telling Marcy that I feel like in the mind shift too, sometimes it's progress over perfection too. So, just get started. Sometimes I know we don't know like where to start, but just shift your goals from just thinking weight loss. Because I think sometimes we get that in our head, weight loss, and then we start just so focused on the weight that we hate everything else about it. And if you just start thinking about it, about feeling good about yourself and the strength it gives you, and you're getting stronger, and it's going to make you more healthy, and the energy and confidence, that the weight will start coming because you're not so stressed out that you're just focused on weight loss. If you think about working out for these other reasons, then it eases your mind. And I think that the weight loss will come when we're not so concentrated on it.
Yeah, that was very true for me recently. I had to have a mindset shift that my weight isn't what I want it to be, and it hasn't been for a very long time, and it did stress me out. But I had like a come to Jesus meeting with myself in the gym one day. It's like I would go into the gym and I would have this negative mindset of it's working. I talk about it all the time. I never want to go to the gym. I'm always like tired at the end of the day. I don't want to go to the gym. I could think of a million other things I could be doing at home, spending my time other ways, but I go anyway. Not all the time, but I try. Anyway, I'm not going to say I show up every day, but I go for the most part. So when I show up, the point is that about halfway through my workout, I feel amazing. I'm in the zone. I'm listening to my music. I'm challenging my body. I'm rising to the challenge. It makes me feel amazing. And I never regret a workout. I only regret not going. I always regret the workouts that I miss, but I never regret the ones that I go and I do. And I always leave the gym feeling way more amazing. So I'm like, Marcy, why are you coming in here with this sour ass attitude, feeling so negative? And it was almost like a programmed response. You've always heard so many things about exercise being hard, and it doesn't really feel good, and everybody has kind of like this negative mindset. And I'm like, what if you just shifted your mindset? What if you just came in here like, these are my people, this is my place, I'm just a vibe with my playlist, and this is my time, and I'm doing this for me, and think about the strength gains that I'm getting, and like just like this list of things said, I'm focusing on every reason I should be here instead of focusing on every reason I shouldn't be here. And when I made that mindset shift, this hour or two out of my day, this time at the gym, it kind of became sacred to me. Like, this is my time. This is my investment into myself. And it really changed the narrative in my mind. Yeah. And I think a lot of women can probably resonate with all the intimidation or all the fear or all the, being pulled in 15 different directions and needing to cook dinner and having kids you have to put in, childcare because you need to go work out. There's a million things that you could be doing. Yes. But you got to look on return on investment. This is an investment into your health, into your future. There are so many reasons that we're about to get into, of reasons why women need to be strength training. It's not like a do it if you want to do it. It's you have to do it if you want to live a quality life.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to plug in here that, and we haven't discussed it, but I'm sure you're okay with me plugging it in. Mm-hmm. Me and Marcy's going to start doing workout videos. Yay. We're going to film our first one on September the 5th. Woohoo! I'm excited. We're going to do different things. I think there's 3 different avenues we want to take. I'm not sure exactly which one we're going to do on the 5th, but I messaged Marcy the other day and I was like, I want to do one that's for women, talking about setting the time aside. How you said they might have children, they might need to go to the gym. Or what if you're a single mom and you can't even afford the gym membership, even though they have the daycare there, or there's just not the time, or the one near you doesn't have a daycare. There are so many things that you can even do at home. You can do body weight exercises once you, like if you don't want to invest in anything, let's do body weight exercises. Then you can maybe get you a band, with the yoga mat, one weight. So I had told Marcy, I said, let's do a couple of videos and, on our YouTube of showing women that have children, like exercises they can start at home.
Mm-hmm. Because that's how you started,
right
at home. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I just started with, I think I had a band, a yoga mat, and a couple of weeks into it, I got ankle weights, and that's how I started.
Yeah. And I was that single mom who couldn't afford a gym membership. The only gym in town that had childcare at that time was Omni, and I couldn't afford that gym membership. And so I just didn't go, and then I remember when Jimmy and I were working full time, we had the kids, we were both getting our master's degrees. We did Shaun T's T25 insanity videos in the living room, and my quads grew from that. I had a friend at work. She was trying to be nice, but she was kind of low key being a little shady. She was like, your quads are getting too big. I was like, excellent. That's excellent news. Thank you for noticing.
Thank you.
But that was just from body weight. T25 exercises, there were a lot of cardio, but it was still like body weight isometric exercises that you can do. But you guys write into us and send us emails at girlgotgoalspodcast@gmail.com and let us know what kind of workout videos you want to see.
Yes. So, but it is doable with toddlers too, because it came up on my Snapchat the other day. I had my granddaughter a lot because they lived with us. So I've got a couple of videos where I'm up there trying to do sit-ups and crunches and stuff, and she's crawling over the top of me, or I'm doing my leg lifts, and she's there. I just let her. I was a jungle gym, but I just continued with my workout. So, involve the kid, use the toddler. Heck, sometimes they're 15, 20 pounds, squat holding them.
Yeah, and they love that.
Put them on top of your head and squat. I mean, so we'll do some, we'll go over some fun things like that, because I do have some good ideas, because, girl, I have done it all.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
So I just wanted to plug that in there. So, and the only other thing I wanted to say about the shift in mindset is just think, like I'm saying, holding the toddler, 5 minutes of movement beats none. So,
yes.
If you don't start, but with 10 or 15 minutes of just doing air squats, that's better than nothing if that's the way you have to start.
Yeah, exactly. Walks, things you enjoy. And we've talked about why you should train like a girl. Now let's talk about how. Like the differences that you feel are not imagined. You are not like your husband. So women have a hormonal profile and hormonal shifts that make it different for them. Women have 10 to 20 times less testosterone than men, which affects the muscle building potential, but not the ability to gain strength. We can still grow muscle. We can still get strong, and it's absolutely necessary. Because estrogen supports muscle repair and has an anti-catabolic effect, which slows muscle breakdown. This means women may recover faster from resistance training, especially in lower intensities or higher reps. So we have the ability to recover faster than men. And our muscle fibers, women tend to have higher proportion of type 1 or slow twitch muscle fibers, which are typically found in like the back and the legs. Typically women have a lower center of gravity. We build more muscle. They call it childbearing hips. That's for a reason. We have the hips and the legs to be able to support the growing children. And these muscle fibers, the type 1s, are more resistant to fatigue, which is why women can often handle more reps at a given percentage of their max. So whereas men can do heavier weight, they have typically lower rep ranges, and we can handle higher rep ranges due to these physiological differences. We also have neuromuscular differences. Women may recruit motor units differently, often benefiting from slightly higher training volume for optimal strength gains. There again, we're talking about volume. is like your reps times your sets times your weight gives you an overall workload volume. So because we can do the higher reps with more frequency, we can get more volume in. And it's very important for women to strength train because of disease prevention. Skeletal muscle mass peaks in our 20s and our 30s, after which there is a decline that occurs at a rate of 3 to 8% every 10 years after the age of 30. Boy, what I would not have given to know that information when I was in my 20s and 30s, because I was not strength training then. So if you build it when you're young, it's easy to maintain muscle. It's hard to get it. So it's hard to grow it, but it's easier to maintain it. So the younger you are when you start, the more muscle you can build, the better off you are. But you can grow muscle at any age, and it's never too late to start. Your friend Wanda is a prime example. You know, she's building booties after 50. You know, that's her main thing. She's inventing the new vertical hip thrust band. And, you know, she has a whole like training platform that's basically building muscle after 50. So it is possible. But once you peak after your 30s, you basically start declining unless there's some kind of intervention. So a decline in estrogen and a sedentary lifestyle combines to weaken bones and decrease muscle at an accelerated rate. So without strength training, estrogen receptors in your muscles aren't getting enough of the hormone that they need to thrive. This raises your risk of osteoporosis, falls, fractures, and overall mortality. Also, your base metabolic rate, which we've talked about a lot, slows down, which leads to weight gain, type 2 diabetes, and other metabolic disorders, because our muscles are glucose eating beings. You know, they're going to gobble up the sugar, you know, the carbs, whatever. The less muscle you have, the more insulin resistant you become, the more weight you gain, the more metabolic disorders that you're going to have. The more muscle you can build, the more your body can handle the carbs and help with those type of diseases. So there's just so many reasons why, due to our levels of hormones, due to these physiological differences, that women, it's imperative that you start some kind of strength training regimen and continue it throughout the rest of your life. This is not something that's one and done. This is a lifestyle. This is something you're going to have to learn how to incorporate it into your life. You're going to have to learn how to love it. You're going to have to find your own why. You're going to have to build a program that works for you. And you're going to have to continue to do this for the rest of your life to have any kind of quality of life in your upper ages.
Yeah. And you don't have to be perfect or know everything to get started.
Absolutely not.
Because I'm
sure I was a big idiot when I walked into the gym and I was just getting on machines. Just, what does this do? What does this do? Anything's better than nothing.
Yeah. So, the next is your cycle. Now, since I have started working out, I know I still go through cycles, but I'm not like Marcy. I haven't figured mine out, even though I don't have a period anymore. I think you've done all of that to figure out still when your cycle is.
I don't have a period. I don't bleed, so I don't know what my cycle is unless I'm taking my basal temperature, and I don't always do that. So half the time I'm in the dark too. I'm just like, I feel kind of weak this week, you know. I feel stronger this week. It's kind of a surprise.
Okay. I was thinking at one time, I know you said you had done it, but you don't not keeping up with when it is.
Yeah. I did it for a while to get some blood work, and then it's just, you have to wake up and take it first thing in the morning before your feet hit the ground, and it's a pain in the butt. And I'm like, I don't want to spend the money on the Oura ring for it to do it for me.
Yeah. I did the temperature thing to get pregnant with my son.
Oh,
so, I know.
It works.
Yes, it does. It does.
It tells you. So if you don't have a period, there are ways to find out where you're at in your cycle, you know, or you could be in menopause and you may not have a cycle anymore. You know, it's relevant to each person's scenario.
Right. So, the point behind that though is like the first, 14 days, your estrogen is rising, your testosterone's bumped up, you're at your peak strength and recovery. So you might be the great time to hit it hard, get new PRs, do progressive overload. But then towards the end, like the 15th through the 28th day, your progesterone's higher, excuse me, which can raise to body temperature and affect your hydration and recovery. So because you might have that dip in energy, you might just want to focus on, your lift and maybe the higher rapes at that time. You could do more banded work. You could do just more body weight,
tension.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's so many things if you just listen to your body. And if you're just super struggling, knock the weight back a little bit. It's not going to kill you. And as women, we really do need to listen to our bodies, because as the progesterone surges, and I think that has a lot to do with like your tendons being more lax and relaxed, and you could have injuries if you try to push yourself too hard. So definitely, there's a fine line between cutting yourself some slack, and then not working hard enough. But you really, especially if you know where you're at in your cycle, if it's the first 14 days or if it's the next 14 days, you can really listen to those body cues and kind of plan your workouts accordingly.
And I'm sorry, everybody knows I'm the hard-nosed, because that is 2 weeks. Don't say, oh, I'm on my period, or, I'm not feeling it today. There is a point where you're going to have to push slightly, because 2 weeks back, and if you're working hard 2 weeks and not 2 weeks, you're not going to progress like you're wanting. If that's good with you, that's good with you. But I just don't want that knowledge to be there. I don't want it to be that, Kimberly said I could take, I don't have to push it to hard these 2 weeks. True and not true. Don't let your mind, don't let your mind use that as an excuse, because we can all do that. I'm not above saying, oh, today I'm just not feeling it, Now, there are times that I'm learning to listen to my body, especially the older I get. I wasn't feeling good when I went into the gym the other day, like you're talking about. But once I started, I did my routine good. But there's been days that I've went in there, I didn't eat. I got busy at work. I'd only had one meal. I was like, oh, this is glute day. This is the day I'm really supposed to push and have had my protein and my carbs. And I just didn't have it that day. And the workout was feeling off. I wasn't being able to recover in between reps. I was like, I'm wasting my time.
Right. Yeah. I go in there with the same mindset every day, because if you're doing a good plan, which we're going to talk about in subsequent episodes, how to plan your workouts, how to track your workouts. And if you're tracking them and you're doing progressive overload, I go in with the same mindset every day of, I'm going to hit this amount of reps at this weight, and I'm going to progress a little more each week. And if I'm like this week, okay, let's back it up. 2 weeks ago, I went in and I was pushing all my weights. I was bumping them higher, higher, higher. Like I outdid myself surprisingly. I go in this past week, do the same workout, trying to push the same weight, and it's just not happening. Like I'm mentally not crapping out, but my body's crapping out. So I'm like, okay, something's off, and I've learned, like you said, over the years, I've learned to listen to my body. It's not that we're walking in with a mindset of, oh, like you said, I'm about to start my period and I just don't feel like it. It's like we're trying our best to reach our goals because we have a plan. And we're trying to work that plan consistently. But sometimes it just may not happen for you. And if you find yourself in that situation, don't get discouraged and quit. You may have lost the battle, but you haven't lost the war. Just keep fighting, keep getting as many reps as you can, maybe back the weight down just a little bit, if you have to. And we'll go over all of that in our next episode 2 of the series, which will be building your first strength training plan. And we're going to explain all of that: reps, sets, failure, perceived exertion. Like we're going to go over all of that. So maybe some of the words we're using are kind of foreign to you right now, but we'll explain them in our next episode.
Yes. So is there anything else that you had to add today?
I think that's it. I'm super excited. Thank you so much again, Judy Ann Lawrence, for sending in your email. You guys reach out to us, send more emails, tell us what you want to see.
And
Keep
if there's
an eye out.
Yeah, and if there's any workouts I shall want to see. The other thing we were thinking of doing, and y'all let us know if this would be something you're interested in. Another thing was there's so many things on social media now, so many different exercises, so many different ways to work things. And I know sometimes you think, well, is this good or what this person's saying? There's so many different influencers. So I kind of thought it would be cool to try some of them. So me and Marcy would pick a few, or if y'all had some, send it our way. And then we could try it and say, hey, we like this exercise. I feel this exercise. It's not for me, you know.
Yeah, I love those videos. I love watching experts take other exercises that they see from other influencers or whatever and giving their thumbs up or thumbs down, you know, or just trying it. Because, I mean, when we went to Orlando and went to the Iron Religion gym, I was like a kid in a candy store. There were like machines there I had never seen before. And I was like, ooh, what does this do? What does this do? And that playfulness, you know, of being on the playground as a kid, like came back to me. And I was like, this is so much fun. I would love to be able to take new exercises, you know, that people may not have done before or wondering about and give it a try. I think those would be super fun.
Also, what's going to be the different challenge between you and I, which could relate to people, is you're tall, I'm short.
Yep. Femur length is going to be different. Yep. So insertions are different.
Correct. Everybody's body's different. And the way I feel something and the way you feel something. And, you know, when I'm working with my client before, she didn't have that mind muscle connection. And that's something we need to discuss too.
Yeah, for sure.
You definitely learn that later. And so there were different ways I would have to tweak her when I would say, do it this way. And she'd say, I don't feel it. So then I would come up with a different way because she was taller than me. She was probably about your height. So I would say, okay, well, move your feet this way or closer or this. And she'd say, okay, I feel it that way. So what works for me sometimes is being 5'1.5" is not going to be the same as somebody else. Even the machines work differently for me sometimes. So sometimes I have to reinvent the wheel because I am short. And there's certain machines that I don't like at the gym because of that.
Yeah. And like we said, they're made for standard male bodies. So they're not made for us.
Yeah. So there might be some different ways that we can help people with short people, tall people.
Yeah. And there's also different ways you can use machines that aren't for the intended use, you know, like people doing hip thrusts on the quad extensions. You know, there are different things that I'm seeing. There's an influencer. Well, he's not an influencer. He's actually a trainer on Instagram, and he trains like specifically like glutes, legs for women. That's all I see him do. And he has the most like innovative stuff. And I was like, ooh, I want to try that. So I'd love to try it and film it and let everybody see our bloopers.
Yeah.
It'll probably be 98% bloopers. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll show them later. We'll make y'all think we good at first.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. That might be our charm. You should hear the conversations we have off camera. If only our families and our husbands wouldn't hear them, we would share them with you guys. But, you know, till my grandma dies, it ain't going to be possible.
No.
Oh, all right, guys. Well, just remember, until next time, progress isn't perfect.
But you are, so keep growing.
Bye.
Bye.